But Mike Florio and Pablo TOREE, make sure it is linked in the description. It's about an hour long. They're talking about this document in this in a arbiters meeting, and they're going on the fact that the NFL and the management council and all 32 teams have been caught discussing, colluding, figuring out a play to suppress wages by the players. After Deshaun Watson's contract, they all got together and said, this shall not happen. Not only did they say that, they did it the very same day the contract was signed. I've been saying on here for so many years, and I've been talking about how the NFL gets down and the way they move and how they gonna move with it. They the toughest gangsters in the game. I'm the one who told you and broke stories about how when these CTE cases come out, they purposely make it difficult for you to even get any settlement money. They've already allotted the money, but yet still make players jump through unreasonable hoops. I've talked to people about racial norming, and that is the practice of saying that African Americans are cognitively starting off at a less point than every other players, so that when they go in and get tested for CTE or brain trauma, it's hard for them to prove that they actually have a deficit because of CTE. It's insinuating that could be just because you're already cognitively a little lower. The league admits to it, the practice, and said they would stop doing it a couple years ago. The league has admitted to the practices of asking sexually inappropriate questions at the combine, racially inappropriate questions at the combine. They've admitted to it. John Gruden was out in front suing the NFL to get his discovery out in terms of what the owners were talking about behind the closed doors when it comes to race, when it comes to CTE, when it comes to emails, thousands of emails from the NFL. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at it. I'm like, bro, did nobody see this? Did nobody pick this up? And before I came back, I told you, this isn't the first time. They've been colluding since Jump Street. When Colin Kaepernick started the whole Neo thing, the management council figured out a way to get that done too. By the way, Colin Kaepernick sued the NFL and won for being blackballed. Him and Eric Reed won. It's documented. Sued and won. The NFL immediately in the management council, in order to smooth things over, went to Jay-Z, said, listen, I need you to come in and do this halftime thing. The music popping, get everybody back on board. This is after George Floyd. After George Floyd. When it was no longer, it was faux pas to start telling people that they couldn't kneel because of police brutality, because George Floyd changed the world. And they needed to figure out what they were going to do about that. They paid Colin Kaepernick so Discovery wouldn't come back. They paid Eric Reed so Discovery would not come back. And let me tell you this too. The NFL is actively subverting wages. When it comes to Shedeur Sanders, and I hear these documents and I see these documents, when somebody says Shedeur Sanders fell to the 5th round, really? Shedeur Sanders was a number 2 pick, somebody that people projected in the 1st round. He slides to the 5th round. I also think it's very funny that people can calculate and know just how much money he lost. I think it's funny that people understand, oh, you got passed how many times? It wasn't about skill. They already made the decision that they was going to make you an example. If you think Lamar Jackson, the two-time NFL MVP who's going through a contract negotiation, he tells in a text message to the owner, I want a fully guaranteed deal. Guess what? Magically, no one's calling him. No rings on the phone. You know why? The council said that wasn't going to go down. So when you got a quarterback that is going to go to the first round, but you're like, dang, and he won't go in the first round. Is he going to go in the second round? Now he ain't going in the third. But now look what you got. Deshaun Watson cost you, right? Deshaun Watson cost you. They punished the Cleveland Browns for doing that. How did they punish him? We're going to make it punitive on you. We're going to make sure that, he's going to get 11 games. He's going to get the max. We're going to make sure he's going to get the max. You gave him that contract. We're going to make sure for the first 3 years of that contract, he won't be on the field for you like that, dog. That's for you bucking the system. That's for you going outside the council and making these agreements. We didn't tell you to give no, Jimmy. We didn't tell you to give no guaranteed contract. So now Deshaun Watson's contract is an albatross around the Cleveland Browns' neck. They paid their pittance. I think it's very, don't you find it very funny that Jimmy Haslam just came out and just said he regretted the trade and it didn't work from a person that never admits nothing? That was crazy to me. Like, dang, he just came out and said that this was a bust. This was crazy. Yeah, this is my bad. Was you apologizing to us or the council? I also find it funny that Shedeur Sanders, who the Cleveland Browns extensively talked to in the pre-draft, extensively went to see him. Why would you go to see somebody and you thought they were a 5th round pick? Why would you go meet with a person if you felt that they were a 6th round pick and you knew you were going to take Dillon Gabriel? See, what I think happened was the league said, here's what we're going to do. We can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Hey, Shedeur, we're going to make sure we make an example out of that. Council was going to say, you're going to slide, not the 2nd, not the 3rd, not the 4th, in the 5th. All the rest of you teams out there, don't even think about looking at Shedeur Sanders. We're going to let the Browns get him. And we're going to let them get him at a discount price. So now, if Shedeur Sanders does hit, he's a 5th round pick. And you're paying them pennies on the dollar. Now if he hits, it erases the whole situation about Deshaun Watson, does it not? As made men, they had to take the slap on the wrist. He had to step up and say, yeah, I stepped outside the council. My bad with the Deshaun Watson thing. That was a terrible thing. Also, they'll make sure he won't play anymore either. He's done. They'll make sure that nobody else is picking him up. They'll wipe their hands of that. But you did apologize. So now we're going to give you another option. Here you go. Here's Shedeur Sanders. Wages is low. For the first 4 years, he's going to be playing on pennies. And guess what? You got an opportunity to get a franchise quarterback at a mass discount. And that's how the game works. Ask yourself, why is it every single year there's somebody that they got a narrative on that magically slips? Why right now the Cincinnati Bengals are trying to get a person to sign a contract that has no guarantees in it in the case that he gets hurt? After the language is not language any other team is using. Why are you doing this to Cincinnati Bengals? He's the first round pick. Sign him and get it over with. It's not about that. That control. That control is always there. And I find it very funny. People got to wake up, bro. Y'all got to wake up. I love the NFL just like y'all do. But I'm excited about this because I feel vindicated. When I was sitting here telling people all last year, go watch my old videos. Why are you guys not asking these type of questions? How is it that you guys don't really get the fact that these guys are doing this behind closed doors? And Mike FLORIO is a lawyer. So when he's sitting here talking like, listen, why would Roger Goodell, if everything is on the up and up, why would Roger Goodell himself call 32 NFL teams and say, what we gonna do about that? man, I'm gonna tell you what, man. Let me put this back up, man. Let me get to some of your comments here in a second. Let me put this back up. I gotta get to it. I don't even know why that don't work. Let's do this. All right, cool. Let's get to the comments. Super chat. Hayes Eye Publishing, LLC. G. Bush, first of all, big ups to you, fan. I would love to see you at Duke's The Scoop collab with a few shows, man. I appreciate you, man. You know, hit me up in my DM, man. Hit me up in my DM. Careful, G. Bush. I can hook you up with that witness protection. Yeah, I got the Lord with me. I'll be all right. Mike FLORIO and them, I had to talk about it. Mike FLORIO might have to talk about it. I mean, but listen. Oh, by the way, let me tell you this too. And I'm giving y'all a fair game. Remember when I did the DeMar Hamlin? I've never told this story. And when I get done with this, I'm gonna get to y'all up there. I promise I'm gonna get to your comments. You got some comments and questions. Hey, if you think I'm crazy, put it in the chat. I don't think I'm crazy. This is a big thing because this tells me that the NFL, nothing happens by mischance. Nothing happens. When people is getting cut, that's for a reason. When people is getting contracts, that's for a reason. Everything is moving together. Nothing happens without them knowing, and it's not independent. They've been trying to keep wages low for years. Ask yourself, how is it that they can have the most popular, most savage sport in the history of mankind and even know that it caused concussions, brain damage, and all of that? Lose a settlement, still won't pay for it, but they still getting billions of TV dollars? This is wild. And let me, I ain't never told nobody. Look, do you know when I did the DeMar Hamlin thing, it went viral. I don't know, it might be at almost, I don't know, last time it was in the hundreds of millions. When I did that, people don't even know. I literally got calls from NFL officials. I got calls from the NFL's Players Association representatives. They were not happy with, I guess, the firestorm that I had caused. Because generally speaking, I don't think people really knew that it was that dire, that players weren't getting paid like that, the way disability was working, the way the Players Association wasn't doing nothing. And it moved a lot of people. And I got calls about that. To let you know, I stood on what I stood on because I knew I was factually correct. I also had people that were high up in the industry, major people in insurance companies, major individuals that are in the know, reach out to me and say, how you get that information? Well, let me tell you this, that, and the third. People think that was a fun point in time for me. Nah, that was a point in time where I understood what type of time people was on in the game, what it was. Because people was coming out the woodworks, and I'm saying, how you get this? How you know what the heck is? Yeah. So I'm not saying this not knowing what type of time and what the game is. But for me, this is very significant because I don't trust the draft process. I know I don't trust when it comes to contracts and negotiations. And I don't trust how the owners get together and do what they do. It's just not it. Let me keep going. Let me get to y'all. Let me see. Let me see. Let me get to the top. Make sure I get it. Wonder what's happening with the fan lawsuit about the Sanders fall. Hey, I'm gonna tell you this, Bob. That's one of them things. See, the funny thing about it is you can glaze over a lot of this different stuff from a point of view of saying, oh, this is conspiracy theory-ish. But when another lawyer gets these affidavits, when you're in the arbitration, he's going to ask for discovery in his lawsuit. And if a judge grants him discovery, they got to turn over documents. They got to turn it over, all of it. I've always said, in my opinion, the NFL Combine is not a place where people rise and fall. It's where they make deals at. The Combine is to fix where you're going to go. That's what it's going to be. You ever wonder about the anonymous nature of everything? That's what the game is. Hey, it screwed the whole league. Screwed the whole league. Brian Hicks says, I heard NFL teams get a yearly script. I can only imagine what the script says if that's true. Haslam reset the quarterback market and they didn't like it. It's factual. It is detailed in these documents. It's detailed. It's the smoking gun. So when people tell you, and I'm going to tell you like this too, you don't think they got people out there that these are these people's mouthpieces? You don't think that when people are saying type of stuff that you said, how are you saying? Where did you get that from? Where do you get that news from? You don't think they got people out here reporting, doing that same thing? Yeah, this is how we gonna move with this. Slide that over here. When the Falcons and Dolphins intentionally passed on the 25-year-old Lamar Jackson, when they had the cap space to outright sign him, I knew something was up. It's too much stuff. If it was just the Deshaun Watson stuff, I would say something. But not only he didn't get a deal, Kyler Murray didn't get a deal. Check the documentation and go back and watch the video. Kyler Murray didn't get a deal. And you know what they used? Kyler Murray don't be in his pad like that. Kyler Murray don't be studying plays on game days. Kyler Murray, we gonna give him an extension. He gonna get the baby extension though. He ain't gonna get the grown man extension. I said, really? So this is 2 quarterbacks in a row? He went number 1 overall, and Lamar Jackson is a 2-time MVP. When is the last time you saw a 2-time MVP request a trade and not one in his prime, and not one NFL team came around to check? It was already they already said what it was. No. And we're going to make an example out of you by doing so. And I want to get to this point as well. Don't think the NFL likes what's going on with NIL. The reason the NFL does not like what's going on with NIL is there has been a movement of player enlightenment, players' rights. And I think they actively look at the way that the NBA is moving and how the players are receiving that big a cut of the revenue. How LeBron and individuals have so much power in the NBA. They don't like that. As a matter of fact, the owners, for once in the NBA, they got the short side of the deal when it comes to the collective bargaining agreement. The players have the bat now. The players are in control. They look at Major League Baseball and they look at the exploding salary caps in baseball. $500 million to $600 million, the huge contracts of Ohtani, the huge contracts of Mike Trout, huge contracts that escalate, and leave teams like the Guardians, who may have a Francisco Lindor. No. You got to ask yourself, how is it that those other leagues are seeing exploding contracts and things, but you don't even got one guaranteed contract in the NFL? That's by trade. That is by on purpose. And now that you got NIL, and now that you have people that are gaining millions of dollars in college, people start to get to live in a certain lifestyle. And they start to question it. Hold on. Why is it that if I'm good, I got to spend, you got 5 years of control over me as a team, plus you can franchise tag me 2 more years? Why is it that we play in a sport where you know your life expectancy is going to go down by playing this sport? Why would I come in with these salary cap limitations on the payroll? Why would I do that? Why are we, first of all, hold on. I'm used to getting millions anyway. You can't bribe me with that little first contract. I'm already making 10 million. I already make 9 million. So when you ain't in the necessity of saying back in the 80s or the early 90s, when people started to be like, I'm just trying to take care of my moms. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to take care of my family. You got people born to single parent households, trying to feed people, trying to get people together, trying to put brothers and sisters in school, trying to get new houses, trying to take care of their family. They're going to do whatever they need to do. They're going to run through a brick wall to get that check. What happens when they don't need that check? Don't let people get too comfortable. Because the NFL is a billion-dollar organization. They got the best thing moving in all of sports. The best thing moving. But you don't want to start the seeds of upheaval and things, because people in college making that type of money might start thinking outside the box a little bit. Do I really need to come out this year? No, I'm going to go ahead and keep this money over here. What if they was all together? What if they was unified? What if they just didn't fold every time there was a collective bargaining agreement? And maybe the Players Association say, listen, y'all like it so much, y'all deal without football for a whole year. It's America's pastime. It's the fabric of what America is. No NFL football for a year? That's just un-American, right? Let's get to it. On a different podcast, B. Watts, it was discovered that Shedeur was #1 on their list to pick first round, but didn't. I wouldn't be surprised at all. The picking, that's why it just don't make no sense to me. As I'm putting two and two together, a lot of y'all might think it's conspiracy theories, but putting 2 and 2 together is you don't fly to Colorado for a meeting with a 5th round pick. You don't do it with a 4th, a 3rd, a 2nd. You just don't do it. There's no need to, because essentially you're saying I'm not even gonna pick him like that. To me, it was orchestrated. To me, it was part of the game plan. and it served two purposes. Beautifully blessed. I appreciate the super chat. Truth ain't true. I thank you for the super chat. James Cosby as well. Man, you want to make sure I got you guys together. I told my daughter on Saturday night of the draft that if the Browns took Shedeur on Sunday, Shedeur was taking the hit for Deshaun Watson's contract. I completely agree. I completely agree. Y'all be a conspiracy theorist if you want to. But when I see stuff like this happen, and you see the slide, and you see all of them other teams ahead of them need quarterbacks. All of them other teams take Shook over him. Dylan Gabriel went over him. All of these other quarterbacks, you take a look at all of the list of guys that went ahead of him. It makes sense. Why do you think they could keep rescheduling Deshaun Watson's contract? Why do you think they were? Remember Myles Garrett asked what was the plan? Remember when Myles Garrett asked what the plan was? And we was confused about what they was going to tell him? That don't look so far-fetched now, does it? Do it. Lily says, if what the Browns are doing works, it guaranteed they will do the same thing every draft. Cleveland's own Garrett Bush goes so hard, he will pull your card. Let's go. Salute. No guaranteed contracts, a fifth-year option for first rounders, a franchise tag. Once I found this stuff out, I said, who agreed to this? NFL likes to hold a dream that they could get the players are grateful. NIL is not only building financially smarter players, but stable families. How long was that the bread and butter of the teams? By the way, when you talk about people writing and talking about this stuff, you can't be, this is what you're not supposed to do. Under no circumstances do you get up here on no microphones and say that. Because what that does, to be honest, for them, that stunts your career. Oh, you wanna work for the NFL Network? You're a young journalist. You wanna work for CBS? You wanna work for Fox, ESPN? You gotta learn how to play ball. You gotta learn how to play the game. And playing the game is not reading off this stuff that is actually in court documents with affidavits signed, sealed, and delivered. When you start talking about whether or not you're going to sign a contract with somebody and then nobody else calls you, it's too big of a coincidence because it keeps happening. It just keeps happening. No, there's no bidding war. How many times when you talk about this, is there no recourse for players? None. They don't have to pay you anything. They could just tell you to sit down and take a chill pill and go over here and chill out. We got the franchise tag. You're going to lose game checks. And the way the game checks is working, and I talked about people who talk to different players in the Players Association, you living from check to check. The way they paying people, you ain't getting no pay. You're not getting no pay in the off season. You better save them game checks. And the way that players allocate money and the way that players go through money, it's difficult. Because now in the summertime, when you do want to pick it, when you do want to hold out, when you do want the Players Association to strike, guess what? They got you behind the 8 ball because you ain't got no money in your pocket. Your kids got to go to private school. Your kids need tuition. Your wife need a vacation every year. 3 car payments, house note. You're paying for your mom's crib. Paying for your dad who's in hospital. Things get expensive. That is by trade. That is not, it's not a coincidence. The system is built for them to have to continuously go back, grovel, take what they get, and they still keep giving them more games. 17 now. When it's going to be 20. Echo the media. Collusion happened, period, in Cleveland. Have to pay Shedeur Sanders what they owe him. FLORIO's a lawyer. When he speaks on legal issues, we listen. They completely ruined football for me. I used to love it so much. Maybe we all need to wake up and pay attention to the things that matter and stop giving these evil people our money and continue their crap. I think they've gotten us to a point where we are in society that, and that's a very brilliant point. I think they've gotten us to a point in society where football is transcended sport. I think football has transcended a period where football is now a religion. And football is a part of a fabric of what your identity is in America. That's why it's so difficult for you to detach yourself from certain things. That's why it's so difficult for you to be mad at your team. But when football season comes, you forget all about that. Because it's more than just a team. It's attached to your identity. It's attached to what you do as a family. It's attached to the memories that your father or grandfather gave you when you used to go to the games with them. It's attached to the ritual of what you do from tailgating or going to the muni lot. It's a part of your fashion. You buy clothes and jerseys, and your kids go and you put Nick Chubb jerseys on and Myles Garrett jerseys, right? But the only thing I've been saying, and I've been trying to do it in a way, is that I try to do thinking man content sometimes. Not second-rate quarterback or, oh, what is going on with this and the sensationalists and all of the narratives and all of that stuff. I try to give you thinking man's football. Just think for a second. And just give yourself an opportunity to look around and say, man, I know it sounds crazy, but he got a point. He got a point. It's never been about morals. It's been about the bottom line. They've already decided that. Me personally, I don't believe that no man can obtain $1 billion without having some dirt on his rap sheet. I challenge you to tell me. I don't think you can accumulate $1 billion an honest way. Somebody got to be shorted. Somebody got to be, I don't know about that. $1 billion, 7 billion, 10 billion, and the gap is continually going. The gap is like this. Between the haves and have, it's still going. Every year it gets bigger. It got 10 times bigger during COVID. But the NFL have done a great job of using the fans' passion, energy, effort to continue to do what they want to do. Because they know you're going to show up. They know you're going to pull up. They know you're going to buy the jerseys. They know you're going to watch on TV. Because it's you. I told people before, you know, the only thing that could have kept it, that could have got the NFL up out of here was the kneeling. The kneeling in this country became so dividing that the NFL immediately had to put an end to it. Had to. Because that was one of the strongest social things that could split the NFL and put them under. And you know, they said, we got to figure out a way to get this up out of here. They messing up the money. These views is down. People is disillusioned during COVID. We better figure this out. And the fact that the council is alive and well, get a couple more. Be a couple more. Armac Dog. G. Bush, the only way Shedeur fell to the 5th round is collusion, plain and simple. I hope the Sanders becomes an effective QB1 and gets his revenge. I wholeheartedly agree with it. You can't read it. You can't listen to what they said. You can't watch the whole. And by the way, those clips are courtesy of them. The link is in the description. Please go check that out. And I hope and what I hope too is I'm going to ask you guys this. I hope other hosts, local media hosts, come talk about this. I hope other local media people at least will shed some light on this. Because if you're going to be a reporter and you're going to report on all of the different things that you had when Deshaun Watson signed, and all of the allegations and all of the extra stuff and all of the 11 game versus the 6 game, if you was sitting there diagnosing that, you owe it to your journalistic integrity to cover this story, to talk about what that is, and to give your opinion on it. You must be heard. You must be on record about that.